If you're in a theological seminary and they're doing this crazy stuff right here, you better get out and get out quick. Let's talk about it right here on the I'm Free Project. All right, y'all, this is James from the I'm Free Project. Share, tweet, post, repost, and all that kind of good stuff. I appreciate my new subscribers, and I appreciate everyone who is tuning in and talk about this crazy stuff that I told you that will be happening almost day to day. So let's get right into it. So, I'm innocently reading stories and so forth and going through my Christian blogs and posts and all that kind of stuff. And man, I'm telling you, it just gets crazier and crazier as you look and see what's going on. I mean, this stuff is really wrapping up, and it's wrapping up real fast, man. So anyway, let me show you what's going on at the Chicago Theological Seminary. Look at this picture right here. All right, so now that you've caught your breath from this foolishness and gotten up off the floor, what would you do? And this is just going to be a quick PSA. What would you do if a theological seminary or a church, and these things are being passed out by parishioners and people who are actually teaching at your school or at your church? Would you stay? I mean, and the thing about it, and see, this is what cracks me up. This is the thing that cracks me up. If you read it, it said, "Take 2 for the second coming." And it has Chicago Theological Seminary on there. Take 2 for the second coming. And that's it. You see how perverse that is? A church is handing out, or a theological seminary is handing out condoms and talking about take 2 for the second coming. That is disgusting. I mean, that is really ridiculous. You're going to make reference to Jesus Christ's second coming, and you're going to equate it to something. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not even going to get into all that. But you're going to run it and equate it. And guess what? You see what it has on there. It has the flame, which is, I believe, the emblem of the Chicago Theological Seminary. But it has the rainbow flags. Now, we all know what the rainbow flag, well, the rainbow, again, Satan taking something of God and twisting it. So the rainbow flag representing the LGBTQ, LRNLP community. So here we go. Again, when it comes to that homosexual stuff, it comes back down to sex. It always, and we talking about, people talking about they're born with this DNA. No, you're born in sin, and that sin manifests itself in some perverted lust. So that's what it really comes down to. And again, I'm not hating on anyone who's going down that road, been down that road, and I'm trying to keep this light and perky. I just want to inform my viewers. But I mean, why would a church need to? And they handed this out. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. But they handed this out during the 2015 or 2016 Wild Goose. No, I believe it was 2015. Hold on. Let me check my notes. Yep. Here we go. Yeah, 2015 Wild Goose Festival, in which the attendees were handing these out. I mean, it's crazy. Why would you hand out? And if you read, so I looked up. See, I'm just really going in because I really can't get over the fact that a church would do something like this. That a theological seminary would take its time to have some condoms printed up, put the rainbow colors on them, and use some perverse language to try to get people to, this is so funny. Yeah, let me take these condoms and have sex, and then you're promoting that. The only other person that I know that was handing out condoms, at least they were handing out condoms, and they propped themselves to be a pastor. They were handing out condoms to quote unquote unbelievers, and unsaved people. I'm not justifying that being the right thing to do, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Just check Preachers of Atlanta. That's all I'm going to say. So anyway, but yeah, so they're handing this out during the 2015 Wild Goose Festival. So I took it upon myself to look up the Wild Goose Festival. And the Wild Goose Festival is basically a new millennium Woodstock, if you say, if you want to put it encapsulated and give you an idea. It's all these different ideas, minds, thoughts, and all under the banner of quote unquote Christianity in a sense, but anybody and everybody is welcome and everybody is celebrated, and it hinges itself or it pushes the idea really of social justice, and that everybody needs a seat at the table, and all this free love stuff, and everybody, and I get that, you're trying to talk about love and so forth, but God is love, and his way is love, and the way that God showed his love is through his son, Jesus Christ. And so what this is just a whole bunch of, I'll use the word politely, crazy. No, excuse me. No, some people, a whole bunch of free love people who just want to get together and talk about all these ideas and all these thoughts, and they have music and the arts and all that kind of stuff, and they're putting all this together, and it just turns into this big love fest and so forth and so forth. And all of these philosophical ideas and thoughts, and everybody sitting down at the table and we're talking about, oh, I believe this and I believe that and so forth and so forth. But everybody's right. No one's wrong. There is no one way, and all ways lead to God, or always lead to some heaven or some nirvana or something like that. You get what I'm saying. That's the foolishness that they're talking about and they're dealing with. And they're handing this out to some already lost souls to begin with. So anyway, Chicago Theological Seminary, you're handing out condoms, got your name on it, got the flame on it, got the gay pride colors on there. And this is what you do. And this is how you lead people and how you teach people about. But then again, you know, I don't expect. I don't expect too much from a lot of theological seminaries now. Now they become Crips, to be honest, you know. So anyway, I'm not gonna even get into all of that. But yeah, and this is my final point that I really want to get into with regards to this, is that as I was talking to my wife yesterday, who pointed out so kindly that I didn't have my ring on the last video. So babe, here it is. Anyway, so as I'm sitting there talking to her about it yesterday, and we were just like, wow, you know, it's like, why is it that you can go, and then we were talking about pride, and I mentioned this in the last video, you can go to an Irish pride parade, Italian pride parade, to a black pride, I guess, you know, African-American pride parade, the MLK parade here in Atlanta, and the Latino parades and all that kind of stuff, and nowhere have I ever seen anything that talks about and celebrates sex and sexuality. It is all about where you are from and your genealogy and and the makeup, your history and your family and this and that. It's all about your history. That, you know, this black stuff right here, it's not going away. It's not going to move. It's not going to change. No matter how much I try to emulate Michael Jackson, it's not going to happen. My DNA still going to scream black man. So, or for other people, black Asiatics, you know. So anyway, who's going to sit here and talk about, well, you're not black, you know. So anyway, so yeah. So when I get into, and I'm just rambling and raving right now, but when you look at the homosexual movement and you talk about the parades and the pride and they're having all this pride and all that kind of stuff, as one who has been to those parades and so forth, I'm telling you, it's just about the sex and social causes and advancing socially within the world. That's really all it is. It's really all about sex, because you see the men in bondage. You see the men that's half naked. You see the women walking around with their breasts hanging out. And they're holding on to children. Children are walking in these parades. You see men with their butts hanging out. I mean, it is nasty. And it gets more and more depraved as you get further and further down those parades. And the thing about it is that all the politicians and all the kind stuff and all the sweet stuff is up front. But the more and more you go down that road, and the further that parade goes down, you start seeing the slow change get into all this sex and sexuality and this bondage and all this other freaky stuff. So the thing is that when you're talking about, you know, pride and so forth, you know what? I have a heritage that when I could trace back with regards to my DNA, my skin color and all that kind of, I can trace that back to my ancestors and my roots. Homosexuality is an act that you participate in. So anyway, I'm out. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. This is James from the I'm Free Project. If your church is sharing stuff like this on the streets, then you need to run. Run fast and run quick. Remember, Jesus Christ is Lord. We'll see y'all later. Peace.